All right, Bulls and Bears, we're back with another dose of economic reality. The economy continues to crumble, but not for everyone. Remember, certain people are getting wealthier than ever in this economy right now, but that's typically the people that are already wealthy. In other words, the rich are getting richer, the poor, the middle class, the working class, the average person, right? The other 90% are struggling like never before, right? For the most part. Now, there's always variables. But let's hear from a few people that just can't find a job. They got this worthless college degree that's doing them no good. They're going up against hundreds of other candidates every time they qualify for a job. They can't pay their loans right now. And some numbers just came out that show that right now here in late 2025, we're at the level that we're at in 2020 when everything was shut down, the shutdown economy. So really quickly and really soon, something's going to happen to, I think, rescue a lot of people that are just buried right now financially. But before we get into the charts and the data, let's hear from a few different people giving their take on things that are happening right now.
The economy isn't doing well. There aren't any jobs for which I could use my college degree. My degree's in finance, and maybe if I were willing to sell insurance or mortgages or some sort of debt, I could find a job which would make sense with my finance degree. But I'm past that point in my life. I'm not selling debt to anybody. And so I've been talking to people, applying for jobs, trying to figure something out, but there aren't any jobs available. And I don't have a car, so I can't consistently travel to a different town or a city in order to work. And so I guess the reason why I'm talking about this is because I'm at a point where I genuinely don't know how I'm going to get out of this situation. But I also truly have faith in God that this situation will be redeemed.
Folks, I've been hearing from so many people, both online and in real world, face to face, that the degree that they received or that they earned isn't doing them any good in the workforce, right? And there are exceptions, but this is what I've been hearing a lot of. And it's especially stressful considering what these degrees cost these people, the time and the money and the dedication. And what he talked about was he could get a job in finance or some sort of, I think he said selling debt, which I guess you could look at a mortgage or any sort of borrowing money as the person on the other side, the agent, is selling the debt. You could say that. He also lumped insurance in with that. I wouldn't call that selling debt. The thing about insurance is it's one of the most consistent jobs you can get because people have to have insurance. If you have a mortgage, your bank, your lender is going to require you to have insurance. If you want to drive a car legally on the road, you're going to have insurance, right? So insurance agents are always in need. I know a few companies right now that are hiring in the insurance industry, mainly home and automobile insurance, but a lot of different types of insurance, boat insurance. I mean, there's always insurance jobs out there. I don't think people think about that very much in general, but it's something it's very consistent. I've rarely seen layoffs either in the insurance industry. Just thought I'd throw that in there as a tidbit because he mentioned, the insurance jobs. Now, will those jobs, even the insurance jobs, be enough to keep up with the cost of living? Depends on your lifestyle, your overhead, what kind of situation you got yourself into as far as dependents and loans and everything else, where you choose to live. Obviously, someone in California, like myself, is going to be different than someone living in Arkansas versus someone living in Ohio. The cost of living is so much cheaper in Arkansas and Ohio both. But again, the jobs aren't as good in those states as California. So it's all relative. But let's hear from a few other people, folks, and some of the data that just came out that shows that we're at the 2020 level right now, the level that we were at during the economic shutdown. That's how bad it is right now, folks. So it's leading a lot of people to believe that something big is going to happen very, very soon. All right, next, let's hear from somebody kind of breaking down the statistic right now. One of the statistics, and there's more, but one of the statistics that's equivalent right now to 2020. In other words, we haven't seen it this bad since 2020, the shutdown economy.
We're cooked. GG's, everybody. If you have a job now, keep it. Don't quit. because it's not looking good. There are now more unemployed people than jobs available. It's the first time this has happened since April 2021, and we know why that crossover happened, and this was the correction for that. And we've been creeping slowly upward with the amount of unemployed. It was inevitable. A lot of this was just like the house of cards kicking the can down the road. And so they staved off a recession. We've been needing a recession for a while. Let's just be so frank here. It was bound to happen at some point, but
I'm glad he said that, folks. Sometimes you just need a recession. You need a recession. That word scares people. Oh no, it's a recession. Folks, that's when things get realigned, readjusted. You've also heard the term correction. We need a correction. Prices need to correct. Prices need to come down to match what people can actually afford. Because right now, most people, in order to just keep up and get by, are financing everything. If not everything, they're financing a lot on credit cards, borrowed money, going deeper in debt. I mean, he said it, a house of cards. Let's continue.
Been trying to kind of like I said, kicking the can down the road. Everything's built on a house of cards. This is just another indicator that a recession is inevitable. It depends on what administrations do, previous and this one, to prevent it from happening or slowing the process down.
Exactly. We've talked about that here many times, especially 2020. There should have been a massive correction, but what they did is they canceled everything. They canceled the loan payments. In some areas, they canceled utility bill payments. And in some cases, loans were canceled for years. And some of those just became due again recently, where they started resuming the loan payments on certain types of loans. I'm sure you know different loans that I'm talking about. Folks, they staved off the recession by, they canceled mortgage payments for a while. They canceled repossessions. People couldn't get their cars repossessed. They canceled evictions for a while. All right, and that's actually still happening in some cities right now. There's still eviction moratoriums in place today, 5 years after 2020. Believe it or not. So yes, they staved it off. They prevented the correction though. So instead of a price decline or decrease, things getting cheaper, like the housing crash, homes got cheaper. Things went up in price massively. Not just that they didn't go down, they went up, but went up massively. The price rise was higher than anything we've ever seen in the past 80 years, folks. Right? Let's finish up with him, and we got a few other examples to give you here.
Try to get wages to come up and meet the need. But that's not going to happen anytime soon because this administration doesn't care about the middle class. They don't care about wages. They care about Reaganomics, trickle down, corporate interest. That's all that matters. Profits over people, shareholder value. That's what they've.
I mean, I can't disagree with him. I mean, let me know what you think down in the comments. I mean, I think he's right. They want to give the tax cuts to the big companies, thinking that that's going to help people, that the companies are going to give out bigger wages or bigger raises. But so far, we've seen how that's worked out, haven't we?
Proven to care more about. So it's only accelerating the rate at which our economic decline happens. So like I said, GG's, if you have a job, keep it. If you don't have a job, good luck, side hustle, small business, start a service, something. Because these red flags keep popping up every week.
How long are they going to keep popping up? But everything still continues to chug along. I mean, is there going to be a breaking point? We asked that question in the last video. I really didn't see too many definitive answers or opinions on that, but I'll ask again in this video. Where is the breaking point, or are they going to have to come in with another set of rescue packages to help everybody deal with this debt load? And I did check out his claim on the fact that there's more unemployed people right now than there are jobs available. There are more unemployed Americans available right now, or more unemployed Americans right now than jobs available. A situation not seen since April 2021. Recent data from the BLS, that's Bureau of Labor Statistics, showed that in July, job openings fell to 7.18 million, while the number of unemployed people was 7.24 million. This shift from a tight labor market to one with more job seekers than jobs indicates a softening in the labor market. That's their job, or that's their words for the job market. The conditions and a decreasing demand for workers. Why would there be a decreasing demand for workers? I mean, one of the things that they put out there which is partly true, was AI. AI is taking some jobs. But also you have to look at the slowdown in consumer spending patterns, right? There is a slowdown, so you have to factor that in as well. People are just so loaded up on debt. Some people, not all people, some people, a percentage of the population is scared to take on unnecessary debt right now. So people are saying no to that vacation, or maybe instead of 2 vacations, it'll be 1 vacation this year. They're making their Christmas list smaller. They're not doing things like going out as much, right? There's still a lot of people doing it. It's only a small decrease right now, but it is something that we're seeing, that we're noticing.
If you don't have a significant other, how are you surviving nowadays? I quite literally have spent well over a decade teaching people how to properly budget their money, how to make any budget work no matter what. If you make over $500 a week, you can make it work. With the current state of the economy, I work in finance. I work with CEOs, executives, and business owners, not to mention their thousands of employees. I educate them on finance. And what I'm telling you factually is that it has never been harder in the United States to be a single person on one income and keep your head above water. It is the time right now where Americans should start living like other countries, where you shouldn't have moved out of your parents' house. You should find a platonic relationship where you could just spend every day together. You can pool all of your finances, all of your resources.
Yeah, hopefully someone you like and someone you can get along with.
Only pay one set of bills. That's probably your only chance. Forced marriages, forced relationships might be another solution, regardless of how
Forced marriages.
messy that might be. But I just want to say, I feel bad. I feel empathy. And if you are struggling on one income, it is the time now where you need to lessen your expenses, increase your income, both, or have a roommate. That's the society we're living in right now. But prices are going to go down on day one, right?
There we go again. Yeah, we were promised prices were going to go down on day one. I was one of the few channels right here. I told you it's not going to happen, folks, because the things that they were talking about doing were inflationary, right? Meaning prices were going to go higher. So the cost of living coming down on day one and all the other promises that were broken, I'm not shocked. And I'm shocked that anyone out there would be shocked that what they said would happen didn't happen. Because everything they said they were going to do to implement that was counterintuitive or counterproductive to what they said was going to happen, folks. And he mentioned a couple other things. Obviously, it sounds like he works in finance. I haven't seen his other videos. But we'll keep an eye out for more videos from him. He also said that you need forced marriages. Hopefully he was half joking, but I could see his point on multiple incomes. You need 2 incomes to get by right now. Not always, though. I know single people that are getting by just fine right now, but a lot of them don't do much. They drive old vehicles. They bought their home 20 years ago when things were cheaper. Much cheaper than now. So I get his point, though. 2 incomes, but then again, do you want to be in a relationship just for the finance part of it? Do you want to have to get a roommate just for the finance part of it? And then if you're working a side hustle or second job, you're out there working how many hours? 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And then you're barely spending any time at the home that you're paying either a mortgage or paying rent for. You're out of the house more than you're in the house if you're working those types of hours, multiple jobs, multiple streams of income. It almost doesn't seem worth it to pay for something that you're not even using. You're out working most of the time. And then when you are home, you're usually sleeping. Then you factor in the travel, the commute, all that stuff. So he also mentioned moving back in with parents if you can. Like, that's the norm in some other countries, is people just live with their parents for kind of a long time here.
Is it just me, or are we in a global recession? I mean, this is not normal. It is 9:40 in the morning, Thursday, September 18th.
September 18th, folks. So like last week. And this guy works in an auto repair shop, it looks like.
This is how our shop is
It's
looking.
empty.
Now, thank God I have a few inspections to do, so I'm going to stay busy today. Like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, as you can see.
In my neck of the woods here, San Diego, I drive by these shops and I see a lot of the bays are full. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe people aren't fixing their cars like they were. Interesting. Let me know what you think about this, folks.
We're so busy. We have so many cars in here right now. 9:30 in the morning. We should be packed. We should at least have oil changes. We should have something.
Where's the other mechanics? Are they working in the office? At least they should be sweeping the floors. What's going on?
And before the people start commenting that, well, shop charge too much money. Our shop doesn't. We actually charge a lot less than we should to make good margins and actually make money. So we actually undercharge a whole lot at this shop, and we still don't have business. We are probably the cheapest shop in our area compared to all the other shops. Our labor is only $135. Other shops are like $150, $160, $180. Dealerships are like $200. And we do decent work. We do good work on cars. We never have complaints. We never have people come back. We never have returns. This is how our shop looks. This has got to be the beginning of the middle of a recession and probably the beginning of a depression. I've been here 6 months. I have not seen it this bad. And it's been like this for the last probably week and a half, 2 weeks. So what's gives? What's going on? Why is nobody coming in? If you guys are doing work on your own vehicles, respect. I respect that. I work on my own vehicle. You save a lot of money that way, but the people who can't afford to work on their own vehicles and have to bring it to a shop, they're not even here.
Interesting, folks. Speaking of working on their own vehicles, last time I did an oil change, it took me like over an hour, because if you factor everything in, getting under the car, jacking it up, the draining of the oil, letting it sit there, putting the filter back on, all the stuff, disposal of the oil, having to go take that somewhere, well over an hour for all that, maybe even closer to 2 hours. When I could just go to Jiffy Lube, yeah, it's not cheap, but if you're in a hurry and you're working 2 jobs, a lot of people don't have time to work on their own cars or even do their own oil changes, right? But his shop is empty. Let's see if we can get any details on where he's at. Looks like maybe he's got an Eagles hat on, so maybe Philadelphia area, somewhere in Pennsylvania. Let me take a look here. All right, he's got a lot of material, a lot of videos out. He goes by the name of Claw, like a cat, Claw, Boss NJ. So it looks like he might reside somewhere in New Jersey, but look him up if you want to find his shop, and maybe if you're in the area, maybe go give him some business. He says he's got good prices, and maybe check it out. He's got a lot of videos out about fixing cars, tips and tricks on fixing cars. One video says, don't buy a Jeep Renegade. This is one of his videos. He also has weight loss videos. Anyway, not to divert too much from today's topic, but I just thought I'd give you some insight on who that was, in case you want to get a good deal on car repairs, hopefully.
93% chance that the United States will be heading into recession within 12 months, at least according to UBS, the United Bank of Switzerland. Now, there is ample data supporting this conclusion, but there is a bit of a twist to this, if you bear with me. Now, it's true that prices are rising rapidly. Again, you could see overall inflation has increased from 2.3% to 2.9% since the beginning of 2025.
That's another thing, too. Prices are rising faster now than they were at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, prices were only up 2.3% from the year prior. Now we're up 2.9% from the year prior. So not only are prices still going up, the price increases are accelerating. Now he says we're going to be in a recession. I think we already are in a recession. I think what's keeping it propped up, and we found out this a few weeks ago, is that the top 10% account for nearly half of the spending that's happening in the economy. And that's the data that's used to determine if we're in a recession or not, is consumer spending. But if almost half of the spending is just the top 10%, just the mega wealthy, or at least the very well-to-do, shouldn't that be really a recession when 90% of the people are feeling it? It's only the top 10% that are really keeping this thing propped up. Now let's finish with what he's got to say here. I think we're in a recession now. It depends on who you are, though.
So, yeah, that's a problem. Now, it's supposed to happen when inflation starts creeping back up. Dollars are supposed to get cheaper. And while it was trending down, it looks like for the past couple of weeks, it's been shooting up. You do not want dollars to get more expensive along with prices going in the same direction. That's a great way to bankrupt a lot of people. And if you take a look at the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or the NASDAQ, they have all been trending up.
All-time highs, all-time highs, all-time highs.
Consistently. So the markets aren't reflecting any kind of recession either. But of course, the markets don't accurately reflect the entirety of
Of course, because the markets, 90% of stocks are owned by the top 10%.
the U.S. economy. In fact, the broadest measure for the U.S. economy is looking at our GDP, the gross domestic product. And when they have 2 consecutive periods of GDP contracting, you can officially say that we are in a recession.
Yes, but that number was, remember, propped up by the mega wealthy for about half of the spending, and the growth, what they call growth, was the top 10% spending money.
I'm a recruiter and I work in the life sciences industry. I posted a position yesterday on LinkedIn for a data scientist role. The role's remote. It filters out anyone that doesn't live in the US, has knockout questions for people just to make sure that they meet the qualifications for the role. So active applications, I log in today, over 600. Taking a look through all of the applications, every single person is qualified. I have to go through and reject over 600 people for a job that these people probably well deserve.
Wow, 600 applications for one position. So she's got to go through and send out rejection letters to basically about 600 people. And she put these knockout questions at the beginning of the job posting, probably saying you have to have such and such degree, such and such experience. So most of these people, or all these people, the other 600 something, were qualified for the job, apparently. And this video sounds familiar. I remember another video we looked at that there was like 600 something people applying. If it is a repeat, I apologize, but I just wanted to make sure I got it out there in case you didn't see it.
Because our market is crashing. I've never seen anything like this in the 11 years that I've been recruiting. The job market is awful right now.
Folks, another person, she's a recruiter, saying it's crashing. We're in a recession. We've never seen anything like this. Shops empty. Things are happening. You may think things aren't happening, but the wheels are turning and the gears are grinding, but at a different speed right now, I think, than before. But it's not going to be really noticeable until something big pops off to make it really obvious, right? And again, we're not seeing bankruptcy spike yet, but is it around the corner? Are we on the verge of something, or is there just going to be another way to kick the can down the road to keep everybody scraping by? No price correction, just things continually getting more expensive because they're shrinking with the economy. I mean, let me know what you think about this down in the comments, folks. Things are changing, though. Look at this data. Look at the numbers that haven't been this bad since 2020, and then the financial crisis before that anyways. Hope to see you in the next video. As always, peace. Bye for now.